He said he'd be mighty sure to see it because he'd be a free man the minute he'd seen it, but if he missed it, he'd be in the slave country again and no more show for freedom. Every little while he jumps up and says, "Dash it." But it weren't. It was jack-o'-lanterns or lightning bugs. So he sat down again and went to watching same as before. He said it made him all over trembly and feverish to be so close to freedom. Well, I can tell you it made me all over trembly and feverish too to hear him, because I've begun to get it through my head that he was most free, and who was to blame for it? Why, me. I couldn't get that out of my conscience no how. No way. It got to troubling me so I couldn't rest, couldn't stay still in one place. It had never come home to me before what this thing was that I was doing, but now it did, and it stayed with me. It scorched me more and more. I tried to make out to myself that I wasn't to blame because I didn't run Jim off from his rightful owner, but it weren't no use. Conscience up and says every time, "But you know he was running for his freedom, and you could have paddled ashore and told somebody." That was so. I couldn't get around that no way. That was where it pinched. Conscience says to me, "What had poor Miss Watson done to you that you could see her nigger go off right under your eyes and never say one single word? What did that poor old woman do to you that you could treat her so mean? Why, she tried to learn you your book. She tried to learn you your manners. She tried to be good to you every way she knowed how. That's what she done." I got to feeling so mean and so miserable, I most wished I was dead. I fidgeted up and down the raft, abusing myself to myself. And Jim was fidgeting up and down past me. Neither of us could keep still. Every time he danced around, says, "That's Cairo." It went through me like a shot, and I thought if it was Cairo, I reckon I would die of miserableness. Jim talked out loud the whole time while I was talking to myself. He was saying how the first thing he would do when he got to a free state, he would go to saving up money and never spend a single cent. And when he got enough, he would buy his wife, which was owned on a farm close to where Miss Watson lived. And then they would both work to buy the 2 children. And if their master wouldn't sell them, they'd get an abolitionist to go and steal them. It most froze me to hear such talk. He wouldn't ever dare to talk such talk in his life before. Just see what a difference it made in him the minute he judged he was about free. It was according to the old saying, "Give a nigger an inch and he'll take an L." Thinks I, this is what comes of my not thinking. Here was this nigger which I had as good as helped to run away, coming right out flat-footed and saying he would steal his children. Children that belonged to a man I didn't even know. A man that hadn't ever done me no harm. I was sorry to hear Jim say that. It was such a lowering of him. My conscience got to stirring me up hotter than ever, until at last I says to it, "Let up on me. It ain't too late yet. I'll paddle ashore at the first light and tell." I felt easy and happy and light as a feather right off. All my troubles was gone. I went to looking out sharp for a light and sort of singing to myself. By and by one show, Jim sings out, "We safe, Buck. We safe. Jump up and crack your heels. That's the good old Cairo at last." I just know that. I says, "I'll take the canoe and go see Jim. It might be, you know." He jumped up and got the canoe ready, put his old coat at the bottom for me to set on and ready to paddle. And as I shoved off, he says, "Pretty soon, I'll be a shouting for joy, and I'll say it's all on account of Huck as a free man. And I couldn't ever been free if it hadn't been for Huck. Huck done it. Jim won't ever forget you, Huck. You're the best friend Jim's ever had. And you're the only friend old Jim got now." I was paddling off all in a sweat to tell on him, but when he says this, it seemed to kind of take the tuck all out of me. I went along slow then, and I weren't right down certain whether I was glad I started or whether I weren't. When I was 50 yards off, Jim says, there he goes. The old true Huck. The only white gentleman that ever kept his promise to old Jim. Well, I just felt sick. But I says, I got to do it. I can't get out of it. Right then along comes a skiff with 2 men in it with guns. And they stopped and I stopped. One of them says, what's that yonder? A piece of a raft, I said. You belong on it? Yes, sir. Any men on it? Only one, sir. Well, there's 5 niggas run off tonight if you're above the head of the band. Is your man white or black? I didn't answer up front. I tried to, but the words wouldn't come. I tried for a second or two to brace up an outward, but I wasn't man enough. Hadn't the spunk of a rabbit. I see I was weakening, so I just give up trying and up and says, he's white. Well, I reckon we'll go and see for ourselves. I wish you would, because it's Pap that's there, and maybe you help me tow the raft ashore to where the light is. He's sick, and so is man at Mary Ann. Oh, the devil, we're in a hurry, boy, but I suppose we've got to. All right, come, buckle to your paddle, let's get along. I buckled to my paddle and they laid to their oars. When we made a stroke or two, I says, Pap, I've been mighty much obliged to you. I can tell you, everybody goes away when I want them to help me tow the raft ashore, and I can't do it by myself. Well, that's infernal mean. Odd, too. Say, boy, what's the matter with you, Bob? It's well, it ain't hit me much. They stopped pulling. It weren't but a mighty ways to the raft now, and one says, boy, that's a lie. What is the matter with your path? Now enter a square now, and it will be better for you. I will, sir, I will, honest, but don't leave us, please. It's the gentlemen, if you'll only pull ahead and let me give you the headline, you won't have to come near the raft. Please do. Fend her back, John. Fend her back. They back water. Keep away, boy. Keep the lure. Confound it. I just expect the wind has blown it to us. Your pap's got the smallpox, and you know it perfect well. Why didn't you come out and take them? You want it spread all over? Well, I told everybody before, and then they just went away and left us. You poor devil, there's something in that. We are right down sorry for you, but well, hey, we don't want the smallpox, you see. Look here, I'll tell you what to do. Now, don't you try to land by yourself or you'll smash everything to pieces. You float down along about 20 miles, and you'll come to a town on the left-hand side of the river. It will be long after sunup then, and when you ask for help, you tell them your folks are all down with chills and fever. Don't be a fool again and let people guess what ain't the matter. Now, we're trying to do you a kindness. So you just put 20 miles between us. That's it. It wouldn't do you any good to land yonder where that light is. It's only a woodship. Say, I reckon your father's poor, and I'm bound to say he's in pretty hard luck. Here's a $20 gold piece. I'm going to put it on this board, and you get it when it floats by. All right? I feel mighty mean to leave it, but my king, it won't do the fool the smallpox, don't you see? Hold on, Parker, says the other man. Here's a 20 to put on the board for me, too. Good boy. Dad, you do as Mr. Parker told you. You'll be all right. That's all, my boy. And goodbye. 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 If you see any runaway niggers, you get help and nab them, you can make some money on it. Goodbye, sirs. I won't let no runaway niggers get by me if I can help it. They went off, and I got aboard the raft, feeling bad and low because I know very well I had done wrong, and I see it weren't no use for me to try to learn to do right. A body that don't get started right when he's little, ain't got no show. When a pinch comes, there ain't nothing to back him up and keep him to his work, and so he gets beat. Then I thought a minute and says to myself, hold on. Suppose you'd have done right and give Jim up. Would you felt better than what you do now? No, says I. I'd feel bad. I'd feel just the same way I do now. Well then, says I, what's the use you learning to do right when it's troublesome to do right? And it ain't no trouble to do wrong. And the wages is just the same. I was stuck. I couldn't answer that. So I reckon I wouldn't bother no more about it. But after this, I always do whichever comes handiest at the time. I went into the wigwam. Jim weren't there. I looked all around. He weren't anywhere. I says, Jim! You know, his hook is stay out of sight. You just don't talk loud. He was in the river under the stern oar with just his nose out. I told him they was out of sight, so we come aboard and says, Howells, well, this is all that talk, and I slipped into the river and was going to show for sure if they come aboard. And then I was going to swim to the raft again when they was gone, but Lord, how you did fool them all. That was the smartest dodge. I tell you, child, I spake and say to old Jim. Old Jim ain't going to forget you for that one. Then we talked about the money. It was a pretty good raise, $20 a piece. Jim said we could take deck passage on a steamboat now, and the money would last us as far as we wanted to go in the free states. He said 20 miles more were far for the raft to go, but he wished we was already there.